Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 3 of Shuffle Review. And today we will be going over something that is very near and dear to my heart. My favorite album of all time, Dysfunction by Stained. Now, here is the CD. Here you can see the clown on the front. Then you just got a very standard spine. Then the band on the back, track listing. Then, now I won't be able to do this with all the albums I review because I don't own all the CDs that you're listening to on Spotify and stuff like that. Yeah, then you have lyric book right there. I believe that's Aaron Lewis. Not for certain. But then you have the CD. It has the really cool thing of having all of the lyrics around the CD. I don't know if you can see that there. Those little black things. That is all the lyrics, which is really interesting. So, I love this album so much because if I were to describe it in one word, it is relatable. Now, you may not have went through any of the experiences that are discussed or the topics that are discussed in this album, yet you can still feel like you relate to them because they're just displayed and portrayed so phenomenally, so flawlessly. And that's what makes this album so memorable. Like, I remember the first time I listened to it, I was in a very good point in my life. And, I mean, I'm still in that good point. And, because, like, me and my girlfriend had just recently met, we had started dating, and I was just enjoying life. But this album's a very, like, if you listen to it when you were sad, you'd be able to relate to it phenomenally. Like, it's for a hard time in your life. But I was in a perfect time. Now, I've had low points prior to then, and that is what made me able to relate to this album so well. Because though I haven't been to the degree that some of the stuff discussed in this album is, I have felt similar things. And those similar things are portrayed in such a way in this album to where you can relate to them no matter the severity or degree of what you've been feeling. So, first up on the album we have Suffocate. Suffocate is honestly just a really good song. It gets you going. Good first song on the album. Great. Then after that, you have Just Go. And Just Go is a really good song because it displays something which is very near and dear to me and something I struggle with a lot. And it is the feeling of being a failure or being just not enough. I mean, it's not necessarily about it. It's specifically about more so addiction, but it's getting down on yourself. And that's why it's so relatable, because even though it's kind of like addiction, a song about addiction, it is predominantly a song that is widely applicable to multiple things. That's a lot of the songs these out there are widely applicable to multiple topics. So it's predominantly talking about addiction and just being unable to escape a certain state of being down, specifically addiction, like I said. And that is very relatable because when you are in a downward spiral, sometimes you feel like you're stuck in it. Sometimes you feel like that you're never going to escape this. You lose hope. And this song, by relating to it, maybe you can gain that hope. Maybe you can realize that it will someday just go, as the song says. And that gives you hope to persevere through this trial you're in. So then, next we have Me. Me is an absolutely wondrous song. This song, you may have never related to any of the family problems or issues it's discussing in it, but you will love this song. It is so, it's not relatable, but it makes you connect with the vocalist, Aaron Lewis. It makes you just lock in, and you listen to it, and you feel it. You feel as if you've lived that. Even though you haven't, you could have the most joyous, yippee life, and you would still relate to this song, because that's just how well the lyrics are at portraying the instances and the emotion behind it, and how they're sung, the instruments behind it, all of that. And it's just, there's the first part is him talking with his sister, and it says, the problem is I don't have much to say. Now, for me, that's a very small portion of the song, but at points I fear when I'm talking with someone, hey, maybe I'm not going to be interesting because I don't have that much to say. So I feel bad about being with this person because I'm not feeling like I'm making myself interesting. And that is something that many people suffer from. I know a couple people who suffer from fear of being interesting or having nothing to say. And it's just, all around, Me is a phenomenal song. I would recommend anyone listen to it, no matter what genre you like. Yeah, I probably should have prefaced this. This is an alternative rock album. It is kind of a softer nu metal, if you consider it that, but it was a little later in the nu metal lifespan. So I wouldn't necessarily consider it nu metal. I consider it alt rock. because the only song that really has any, I guess, not vocal, but I guess metal-esque vocals would probably be Spleen, Suffocate maybe, Just Go kind of raw, and that's Crawl is more instrumentally metal. But yeah, then on to Raw. Raw is a very good song to listen to if you are emotionally worn down, if you're just hurting or numb, because he sings about that. And it just is kind of like a emotional exorcism, because he's speaking about feeling raw, feeling just down, numb, feeling cold. And that's just perfect descriptions for an instance of being numb, and how he sings it. Like I said, it's like an emotional exorcism, because it seems like he's trying to expel these emotions from his body, from his mind, to eventually reach that state of just being gone and not having to deal with the emotion anymore. So then, after that, we have Mud Shovel. Mud Shovel is just a great song. It's a good metal song. It's got a nice rhythm to it. I don't have much to say about it, but yeah. Also, I forgot about this on Just Go. Just Go, second song on the album. There's a line in it that, well, an array of lines, and it just really stuck with me for some reason. I have no clue why, but it's speaking of essentially being the antithesis to something, and it says, I'm the cancer in your womb, I'm the needle in your spoon. So it's talking about essentially being the nemesis to something, and I don't know why that's just always stuck with me since I first listened to the album. I guess it's probably because it's in a portion before a breakdown, and I always love breakdowns in music, so yeah, that's probably why I remembered it so well. But I've always really stuck with the album. I guess I know it's goofy, hard. It's like 3 Days Grace trying to sound hard, and I don't get me wrong, 3 Days Grace sounds hard sometimes, but I do realize that it's kind of like 10-year-old, early teen, edgy. So, yeah, and that line in Just Go is that exact same kind of demeanor, but, yeah. But, then, after Mud Shovel, you have Home. Home, if you're in a relationship, and, say, you just fear about leaving an impact on your lover, or just feeling like you may not be enough to keep them there, Home will hit you hard. Because I've had times where I've been down and I've just been worried about me and my girlfriend's relationship, and I just listen to Home and I'm like, oh God, bro, it's further pushing not my disbelief, but my fears. And then you're just left like, oh crap, but I've related to this, and it makes you honestly feel a little bit better, even though it may have imposed your fears of what you were fearing a little bit more, of them not being there one day when you come back. And that is a scary thought, but the song makes you relate to it, and that makes you a little bit happier. It like raises your emotions a little bit, because you know you're not alone in these thoughts, and it gives you a sense of community, even though he doesn't know who you are. But yeah, Home is just a phenomenal song. Because, like I said, it just speaks about worrying if they'll still be there when you come home. Whether it be, I don't know, it's really just if they'll still be there when you can't be there and have to come back eventually. Whether it be you're off somewhere and doing whatever, and then you come back, will they still be there? Maybe it's you die. Will they still love you afterwards? It's kind of that concept right there, and I honestly like the depth of that, even though, I mean, it isn't really deep, but it is enjoyable. So, then after that, we have A flat. A flat is predominantly talking about something which relates heavily to me, is the fear of being a failure. I have always posed very strict guidelines on myself, and I've always wanted to succeed to the utmost of my ability. And with A flat, it is discussing the fear of failing. And one thing specifically, one line it says, it has all the sacrifices made for nothing. All the sacrifices made for nothing. I know I can hear them. I'm a little iffy. I re-listened to the album today, but I'm still kind of iffy on the lyrics, because, I mean, I've listened to this album unhealthy amount of times. Yeah, I still can't remember every word, because I'm not a vocalist. But, yeah, so all the sacrifices made for nothing. That is a I guess, endeavor that is often relatable to most people, because there's been instances I know in my life where I've pushed hard for something and then didn't achieve it. Yet, I believe in, at least with my personal philosophy, that in pushing for something you may not achieve, push as hard as you can. Because if you push as hard as you can, say, for in striving for the stars, you land upon the moon, you will not be disappointed. Because no matter how hard you push, no matter how hard you try, if you look back on it and you're proud of it, that's all that matters, even if you don't achieve your goal. Because the fun thing about setting goals is that you can set them as high as you want them to. And the stars are your limit. So you set that goal high as you can and try and reach it. Because even if you don't reach it, you knew that goal was unachievable. Yet you'll look back, see all the progress you made, and be so proud of yourself. So if you're ever feeling like you don't have any goals or your goals are too little, hey, I say shoot for the moon, because you will get high if you shoot for the moon. I realize how weird that sounds, but you will reach insane levels if you just strive for the best you can be. But then we have Crawl. Now, this is going to be a big tonal shift from speaking about home, but not home, A flat. But Crawl is literally probably one of my favorite metal songs of all time. It's not my favorite. I would have to say my favorite metal song of all time would probably have to be minus Blindfold on Adrenaline by Deftones, because, that song is euphoric. Like, it fires all the neurons in my brain. Especially the latter part, the breakdown. Oh, it is so peak. But, Crawl is one of my favorites because of how unique it is. I've never found another song that sounds like Crawl. Because Crawl, it's okay, I'm going to absolutely clown myself, but the first part of the song goes, this is going to sound so good, it goes, wee, 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 wee. And that, like, guitar sound, I've never heard it elsewhere. I've been a fan of music for probably 4 to 5 years now, like a consistent fan. Like, I listen to a lot of music, and I've been doing that for about 4 to 5 years now, and I have never found a song that has that exact same sound. So I love how unique Crawl sounds. It's just phenomenal. And then Spleen, it's honestly just another really good heavy song, and it's just, I guess, if you were to compare it to anything, I would compare it to Stain's first album, which is Torment. I believe it's either Torment or Tormented. I only listened to it once, because, I wasn't massive on it, but I did realize that there was place to grow, and I'm so glad I kept listening, because I discovered this absolutely phenomenal piece of music. And then eventually, Break the Cycle, which is their third album, which is also phenomenal. Literally probably the 2 best back-to-back albums in an entire discography out of any band. But, so I'm glad I listened to it, and like I said, Spleen's probably very similar to it, because Tormented was more of a metal album than it was an alt-rock. And it honestly had far deeper, I guess, emotionally and darker emotionally songs than on Dysfunction. But Dysfunction was far more relatable, because it wasn't just doom and gloom. It put it at a nice medium level to where almost anyone could relate with it. While Tormented is more like, very, very edgy stuff. Not very edgy, but like darker stuff, and concepts of like self-harm and stuff like that. So then, it's not listed on here, but there is a hidden track on this album called Excessive Baggage. It is really the only thing I consider that brings this album kind of down a little bit. It's the only miss on this entire album. Excessive Baggage, it isn't really even a miss. It's a really good song, but it's just kind of off of tone with this album. Its sound is more reminiscent of what Stain would eventually become, with the more not melodic, but more quieter, more toned down songs. Now, it is still a song of emotional intrigue and, I guess, depth. It just, personally, was not for me. So, that is Dysfunction by Stain, my favorite album of all time. Now, I was thinking about it, and I'm probably going to go over the album which brought me into music, and that is Slipknot's self-titled album. So I will probably be going over that sometime soon. And like I said, the other stuff on the other video, I'll probably be going over that relatively soon. And I forgot to mention, I will probably be going over Chainsaw Man soon, because I recently got into that, and over the time span of a week, I read like 150 chapters. So, I absolutely loved it. I got a little bit more to finish. I think I have 31 chapters left. So I'll finish that up pretty soon, and y'all will be getting a review about that. So like I said, more music, more anime, more manga to come along the way. So I really just thank you for sitting here and listening to my little love letter to dysfunction. And that's it. Thank you for watching episode 3 of Shelf Review.